Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. It is pouring down rain in Australia. It's a perfect opportunity for us to film and record episode 15 of the Break-Thru Active podcast. As usual, I'm here with Mitch, and it wasn't episode 15, it was 16.
Oh, you're living the past.
Absolutely.
But, yeah,
16.
Good morning, everyone. Like Jamie mentioned, we are rained in at the moment, so we've been had to call off our outdoor sessions here the last day and a half, which has been a bit of an inconvenience, but very much looking forward to Saturday and then Monday when we are going to be back inside the gym, and regardless of the weather, the day we will be inside and operating. So we can't wait.
So today's topic is based on week one of training, what to expect, what you should be doing, things you can do that will improve your training, nutrition, and recovery, just to ease you back into this program. Because trust me when we say this, everyone's probably gone back a step, maybe 2 steps. We are not throwing you in the deep end Monday morning.
Yeah, we've obviously put a lot of thought into the program and what we're going to be taking you guys through, and we are fully understanding that, you know, a lot of you haven't done too much over the last 11 or 12 weeks. You know, we have had a handful of people who've really kept up with the home workouts for the first sort of 8 or 9 weeks, and then been making it into our sessions here outdoors and being consistent with those. But we do have a large chunk of people who haven't done a whole lot the last few months. So for us as the owners and for us as the coaches, we need to be very mindful of that. And the absolute worst thing that we could do would be taking you guys through workouts that are going to be on par with what you were doing 3 months ago, when your body is just not ready to handle that. So we are going to be easing your way back into it. Like always, the sessions are going to be designed for you to go at your own speed, but we are very mindful that a lot of you haven't done a whole lot over the last few months, and it is going to be a process to get that fitness back, to get that strength back, and to get your body moving again like it was a few months ago. So that's where we are just wanting to explore some of those things in regard to your training, in regard to your nutrition and recovery, that is really going to help you in this process for the first few weeks you're starting back again.
Yeah, there was a research paper published recently. I do read research papers, believe it or not. It was a study showing that if you have been exercising, like the majority of our members, consistently for over 12 months, if you were to take 3 months off, or 4 weeks, or 6 months, typically the average person will get back everything they may have lost or gone backwards in half the time. So for example, we've been off for 3 months. You should expect to be back to where you were that 6-week block, which means that we've got the first 6 weeks to increase the frequency of your training, maybe going from 2 sessions to 3 sessions to 4 sessions, increasing the volume by adding more reps in. And it really is a slow build, because nothing stops fat loss, strength, fitness faster than an injury. And that's what we're very mindful of going into this.
And that 6-week period that you spoke of, then that is for someone who has done nothing in the last 12 weeks. So for those of you who have done more than nothing, there's a portion of you guys who for starters were regular with the home workouts, and then for some of you other guys, you have started to do more training now that we're doing them outdoors. So even for you guys who have been moving, but maybe just not at the same frequency and the same intensity that you were 12 weeks ago, it won't even take you that long to get back into it. It might be more like sort of 2 to 4 week period if you have been semi-active during the last few months. But like Jamie just mentioned, injury is the quickest way to stop progress. And for us, that is the most important thing, especially reintroducing you back into training. And when we look at volume and we look at load and we look at intensity, we are very mindful of that, because those 3 things are what we need to manage to make sure you guys aren't getting injured and you are able to continue to see progress here early on. And that way you are going to be able to build a routine, build some consistency, and keep up with your training here, not only early on, but then moving forward as well.
Okay, so I guess we'll break this down into sections. So section 1, we'll talk about recovery. Now, for recovery, there are four things really you need to do. You need to make sure that you're sleeping well, number one. Number two is adequate hydration. You know our rule of thumb is 50 mils per kilo of body weight. For example, I weigh 90 kilos. I'd have 4.5 liters of water. Number three is good, healthy, nutritious food. So whole food sources, it really is common sense. It is vegetables. It is good source of carbohydrates, potatoes, sweet potato, brown rice, white rice. And it is good quality cuts of meat. And the other one is, I guess, our part, which is managing how much workload you do at the start. If we can nail those four things, you'll get results, you recover, and you should feel great.
Yeah, those four are the primary things that are going to help with your recovery. Now, the first one there is sleep. So if it's been anything like our experience over the last few months, our day-to-day patterns did change. We went from getting home sort of around dinner time each night and being up at 4:15 each morning to being a little bit different there early on when we weren't running sessions, and then has been changed again. So sleep patterns may be a little bit different for you depending on your work. For some of you, it might be the exact same, but placing more of an emphasis on getting regular sleep, getting to bed a little bit earlier, trying to not snooze the alarm in the morning and get that regular habit of sleep on a night in, night out routine. So that is something that we have found has been missing for a lot of people the last few months. And a lot of people say that they are just out of routine, and we feel as though sleep is a big part of that. So that is probably at the forefront. I think you'd probably agree with that, Jamie, for recovery here in the, especially early on, because your body is going to be sore. It is going to be needing that time to recover, and the best way to do that is by getting adequate and regular sleep.
Yeah, aim for 6 to 8 hours. Like 6 is minimum, 8 is optimal, 9 plus, you're an absolute superstar, and you probably don't have kids.
Yeah, exactly right. So bit of a tip there is just trying to get in bed the same time each night, and getting up at the same time each day, and that can go for weekends as well. And if it isn't exactly the same on the weekends, try to keep it somewhat similar. So if you're trying to get into bed at 9:30 each day, up at 5:30 in the morning, that gives you 8 hours in bed. If the weekend is a little bit different, maybe you are going 11 o'clock in bed, 7 o'clock wake up, and still maintaining that 8-hour window that is going to help get you adequate sleep.
Yeah, so my experience, COVID happened, week 1, I started staying up late. I used to be a night owl. I started playing video games, I was watching movies. I was getting to bed at like 11:30, 11:45. I was waking up at 7.
Late.
It was late. I was waking up at 7:30 a.m. to get to the gym at 8:30. And my sleep was much, much worse once I changed those habits, even though I was probably getting more sleep in bed and I was sleeping in late. It really does not matter about the sleeping. If you get 8 hours between 9:30 and 5:30, that's the same as 11:30 to 7:30. But I know for both of us, 8:20, I'm barely conscious. I'm walking around the house yawning, and I'm falling asleep into bed.
Yeah, well, I remember it was probably about a month or 6 weeks ago when there was some rumblings that we were going to be able to start running outdoor sessions again. And I remember sort of chatting to you and Brody and Ryan and Steven, saying like, we probably need to reel it in here. We probably need to start getting to bed a bit earlier. Otherwise, it's going to be a massive shock to the system when that alarm's going off at 5 a.m. to get there for the 6 a.m. session. And I know for myself, that was probably when I kicked it back in and started getting a bit more regimented with my sleeping. And now I'm at the point where, I am sort of back to where I was before. But it does make a big difference on not only your recovery, but your energy as well. When you are getting good sleep, regular sleep, then we feel as though you are a lot more energetic through the day, which has so many positive benefits. But obviously, in regards to exercise and training, it's very helpful as well.
This is a bonus tip with sleep. It regulates 2 hormones called leptin and ghrelin. They are your hunger hormones. Studies show if you sleep less than 6 hours, your cravings go up by 65%. Now, I already want to eat Tim Tams. If there was an extra 65% chance I was going to eat those Tim Tams, I'd eat the Tim Tams, right? So it's just like, I saw one of my best friends on earth, Elliot, 2 weeks ago. He's just had a child. He's sleeping horribly. He's aged 5 years in about 6 months.
It's
right?
nice of you.
Well, he agreed. And it's just like, that was the clearest, I guess, case I've seen in person of just how important sleep is, and the opposite, just how detrimental it can be. He can't help it, of course, but if you continually have poor sleep, you make poor decisions, you eat poor, you don't train, and it's just that downward cycle. And I think we both agree that it really does start by going to bed at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. And this whole podcast isn't about sleep, but you are right in everything you say there. And I think the short of it is that, now that you are getting back into some regular training, let's try and put a bit more emphasis on getting to bed a bit earlier and getting some more sleep.
All right, let's move on to step 2, hydration. I mentioned it before briefly. I'll say it again. 50 mils, 0.50 mils, so 50 mils per kilo of body weight is a great goal to aim towards, right? So once again, if I weigh 90 kilos, I'm having 4.5 liters, and you're all thinking that's a lot of water. And I'd say to you that if you train in the morning, say 6 a.m., you should have had 1.5 liters really, like pre, during, after training. And then it really is just a glass of water with every meal.
Yeah, absolutely. When you break it down like that, and it becomes very, very manageable, and it is going to be a large increase for a lot of people when they think about it. We have conversations with people who say that they forget to drink water until it gets to dinner time, and they've had nothing but a few drops of water that they've had with brushing their teeth. So everyone's going to be different in terms of how much they need to improve that. But having a rule of thumb to follow is a good guide and a good way for you to see how much you should be drinking. And this is something that should be followed even if you're not training or exercising, but it is even more important when you are working out. You are replacing a lot of that hydration that you lose throughout the session, and it generally does help with the overall function of your body. And the obvious response that we get when people increase their water intake is that they're going to the toilet a whole lot more. And the truth of the matter is I've had several, I guess, not so much research studies, but I've heard different people in the space talk that you should be going to the toilet anywhere between 9 and 12 hours a day, which again seems crazy. But if you are properly hydrated and you are drinking that much water, you are just going through that water and you are on and off the toilet pretty regularly. So that is something that does come with the territory, but in terms of overall health and in what we're talking about here in regards to recovery, it's going to be very beneficial to be getting, that sort of 4 to 5 liters of water a day, and looking back at how much you weigh, it gives you a bit more of an accurate guide as to how much is a good thing to aim for.
Yeah, and if you have a headache, you're probably dehydrated. Stomachache, probably dehydrated. You're unusually hungry, probably dehydrated. All those things that you go through throughout the day, that there's signs that your body typically needs water, right? And it was explained to me the best way I ever heard it. And if you're trying to lose body fat and you're dehydrated, all your body wants is water. It has not got the resources to excrete fat. If you're trying to build muscle and you're dehydrated, why would your body want to build muscle when you're not even giving it water? So if you're hydrated, you're putting your body in the best position to function optimally, whether that's going to staying focused at work, whether it's exercising, building muscle, losing body fat. It is like our bodies are 70% water. I don't know how else we can say it. Just go listen to this podcast and then go drink some water.
Yeah, your body has a hierarchy of things that it's trying to achieve, and at the very top of that hierarchy is hydration. Your food intake and the supplements you take, and even exercise and things, none of that really matters if you're not drinking enough water, because that is the base need that your body needs for survival. So yeah, again, drink more water. And I think a good tip for that bit of a hack is just to get yourself a big drink bottle and have it with you at all times. And I think naturally, if you've got that with you at all times, you will automatically start drinking more.
I'll leave it with one more point. You can survive 1 month without food, the average person that weighs the average amount of weight. However, you die after 72 hours of no water. That's how important it is. 10 times more important than food.
Yep, agreed. So next one is nutrition. So when we're looking at the next step towards recovery, obviously your nutrition plays a vital role in that. the amount and the quality of protein you're getting is going to be important as well, especially when we are starting to reintroduce some regular training into our weeks. So we're not going to go too far down this rabbit hole because it's a new conversation altogether. But starting to look at how much protein you're getting, how much fresh food you're getting, what type of quality food you're having. And like Jamie mentioned at the start, a lot of it is just common sense when in regards to what we're talking about here with recovery. Stop getting takeout, start cooking more, try and avoid those things that are high in sugar, and trying to get some more of the good cuts of meat, more fruit, more veg. And I think just making some very, very basic changes like that is going to be very important in terms of your recovery, but also how you look and feel as well here for the first couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
So like I said, we won't go down too much, but I think just focusing on what you're eating, trying to get more real food, less processed food is going to be a really good start.
Yeah, just simply leave it at that. You know what's good for you. You know what's not good for you. Eat more good things, have more good things than bad things, and eat a good portion size. With nutrition, it's how far down the hole do we go. If you want more help with that, it's not a conversation we can have during a podcast. It's not a conversation I can have with you leaving the gym. I'll get you on the phone and we'll go through it in detail, what you need, because everybody is different. All right, number 4 is volume, frequency, and intensity. So frequency is how often do you train per week. Volume is the amount of workload you're doing in those workouts. And intensity is how close to failure are you going, or how often are you resting in between those sets. So I'll get you
yes. Yeah, so that's our job with obviously the designing and running the sessions and communicating with you guys as to how much of each you get. And we feel as though that your body does need a healthy dose of each. When looking at frequency, again, that's very different for everyone. Those of you who were training regularly, 4 or 5 times a week before all this happened and have been able to maintain your training through this period, you could probably jump back into 4 or maybe 5 times a week and be okay. For those of you who were only training 3 times a week, I say only, but three is a great amount. But then throughout the last few months, that's sort of dipped a little bit and been a bit more inconsistent. You might only be ready for 2 or 3 times a week here coming back. So the last thing we want is for you to be overdoing it to the point where you are burning yourself out. You're going to be more likely to incur some sort of injury from being overtrained and your body just really not being ready for it. So everyone's a little bit different in that regard, and we'll take some time to speak to each of you about that in regards to frequency. Next one is volume. That is more our responsibility in how we design the sessions. Again, the last thing we want is to be having a really high volume week of training your first week back in potentially 12 or 13 weeks. And again, that could potentially lead to some sort of injury, an overuse injury, your body not being used to that sort of repetition on a new movement or even old movements that you have done in the past. So that is our job to make sure that we have a balanced amount of volume through each session and through the week as well. And then the third one is intensity. So that is how hard we are pushing ourselves in the session. That comes back to the time in which we are training. So typically the shorter workouts, you can operate at a higher intensity. Middle, sort of the medium length workouts, I should say, are more ones that you are working at a medium intensity. And then the ones that are a bit longer, it is more of like a low intensity exercise. So we will have a mixture of all three. And again, that's our job to communicate how hard you should be pushing, and keeping in mind that this is only going to be the first week back. So it is a marathon and not a sprint. So just taking a bit of time to think what your body is capable of, given your experience in the last few months. I think it's always going to be important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and it all comes back to the thought that you're not going to regain everything you had in 1 week. However, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6, you will get it back if you just ease yourself back into it and you trust us as your coaches that we know what we're doing from a 10 years experience to help you along the way. we like giving everything numbers. If you were deadlifting, if you were doing a 20 kilo kettlebell swing before, you might do 16, right? It's just simple adjustments we can make the first week back to ensure that you guys are on track.
Yeah, exactly right. And as we often preach, consistency trumps all. So if we are taking a bit of a step back with the weights we're doing or how many sessions in a week we're doing, it might feel as though we are regressing. But in the name of consistency, taking that slight step back, half a step back, or one step back is going to be really important in taking 2 steps forward in the following week or the following month. Because like we always do say, being consistent with your training is going to be far more important than pushing yourself over a short period and then burning out, getting injured, getting over it, losing motivation. We feel as though that having a balanced approach to that is going to be key for you.
Absolutely. That was perfectly said. Anything else, mate, for people starting next week or people who get back into that we haven't mentioned? I think it really is important that I'm the same. We're all the same in 2020. We want everything right now. And the thought of taking a step back is hard to accept. I am the king of overuse injuries. I've had tennis elbow, plantar fascia, knee tendonitis. Trust me, you do not want to develop these because they just hang around and they niggle for weeks, months, years. Take it easy. Take it slow.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think everyone's going to be a little bit different, but in saying that, there are going to be a large portion of people who fall under the same umbrella. And I feel like for those people who may have been a little more inconsistent with their training the last few months, I think 3 times a week for the first month is going to be more than enough. Of course, there's no one size fits all thing, and it all does come back to those other things that we mentioned. You know, you're going to recover better if you're eating well, if you're sleeping well. So that's obviously going to be different for everyone. But as a rule of thumb, and there's a reason we have always used it and it does get used a lot, that 3 times a week is a very good approach. Having a day off in between to let your body recover. Perhaps you are at the higher end of that spectrum where you have been training well and maybe you are looking more at 4 or even 5 times. But even at the other end, if you do come in early on in the week and you come in again on the Monday or the on the Wednesday or the Thursday for your second session, 2 times in that week might be enough if you feel as though your body needs some extra time to recover and you are sore. So it is a bit of something you hear a lot, but really listening to your body. And if you are sore and you feel a bit worn out and you feel as though that perhaps another rest day, is needed, then that is not a step back. That is, if anything, a step forward, because that's going to impact on your training for the next week. And I think that's where it is important to look at health and fitness is not just your training, but also your nutrition, your hydration, and your sleep. And you can maybe have a day off training, but still be good with those other 3 components, and that's going to be very helpful.
If we can agree on 2 things, calories burned in a workout and muscle soreness is not a good workout. They do not determine how good the workout is, the number of calories you burn, and if you're sore the next day. The calories you burn, those watches are so inaccurate. It's not even funny, right? They just do not matter in the long-term things if you're eating the right foods. And in terms of muscle soreness, you will experience muscle soreness week 1, but that whole thought leg day, can't get off the toilet, that's being pushed out into the fitness industry, that's a good thing. That is not a good thing, right? If you can't get off the toilet, we've done too much, right? So just be mindful of those 2 things when we get started on Monday.
Yeah, and I think using those 2 things as indicators that you've had a good workout is completely the wrong way to be looking at it, because we could have you running. We could have you go on a 45-minute run and you're going to burn more calories than what we're going to do in the session. There's no doubt. We could have you jumping up and down on the spot for 45 minutes and you'll burn more calories. So we could have you skipping on the spot for 45 minutes and you're going to burn more calories. Is that a better workout than combining some training that's going to help tone your upper body, that is going to help develop your core and strengthen your core, as well as doing some cardio work to improve your fitness and burn some calories in the process? I mean, absolutely not. So having that mixture of training is obviously what we're programming and what you've always had at boot camp. So steering away from looking at that watch. I know it is very easy to look down at your watch and see X amount of calories is burnt. That means it's a good workout, but it's not the be all and end all. And then the other one Jamie mentioned as well, the soreness. I mean, there will be soreness, throughout this first week or two. That does go without saying. But don't let that be an indicator if you've had a good workout or not. There's going to be some of you that do get some extra sore muscles because you haven't done as much for a while. And if you are sore, that is normal. That comes back again to recovery, drinking water, eating good food to help with that. But if you don't leave and you don't wake up in the morning with super sore glutes and hamstrings and quads and you can walk just fine, that doesn't mean you didn't put in a really great effort yesterday. It just means that your body's recovered well and you're probably doing a lot of those other things right.
All right, mate, let's sign off then. We'll do one more podcast on Friday before we open on Monday, which is so exciting. Before we run the sessions on Saturday. We'll do a podcast on Friday. We'll sign off then, guys. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely, lovely day. Hopefully the weather clears up and we can get in a few more outdoor sessions before we're back indoors.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you all very soon.
Goodbye.